Welcome back everybody to the modern landing page design tutorial series. So in the previous part, we have created the category section. Now in today's part, we're going to be finishing this section by including a testimonials here. So the idea is when each category of freelance service is selected here, for example, web development, as is currently indicated, we want to show a list of web developers on the platform, and for those web developers, we want to show some sort of testimonial and rating. So we're going to be doing that today. First, let's start by creating the layouts. What I'm thinking is, first we would have an image. We're going to rename this layer an image. So with a bit of corner radius, maybe 4 pixels or 6 pixels to stay consistent. Then the name of the freelancer, maybe we just say freelancer name. We follow that by a description. Let's say a short description of the freelancer's experience. Instead of writing a description, we can write a testimonial. We can say, in quotations, we can say, it was great to work with freelancer name. He is a professional and does quality work. You can write some review like this, and at the bottom we can say, we can duplicate this part actually and just bring it here. We can say 4.3 out of 5 average rating. Okay, then we would like to maybe present the user with the option to contact this specific freelancer. And for that, we'll need a button. I'm going to use the secondary button we created here. Let's just duplicate that and drag it down to the section. Okay, maybe we can make it a bit smaller. Instead of 28, we can say maybe 24 and by 12. Okay. Contact. Let's just say contact for now. So now let's make the freelancer's name a bit bigger, maybe 16 pixels or 20 pixels. 18 pixels maybe works fine. Let's make it semi-bold and position it. Then let's take this. Let's give it like a dull color, the color which we've been using so far for text, which is gray 600. Now let's go over to the quotations. Let's make it semi-bold, 16 pixels, maybe a bit bigger, 24 pixels, and black, just to give like the design some interesting points, points of visual interest as they're known as. 20 pixels, and okay. Then let's restrict this. I'm gonna fix that later, but now let's just position it. And you know what? Just say 4.3 out of 5. And let's remove that. Okay, great. So this will be our card. Now all that remains is to fill out the content and lay out it properly. So first, let's take these two and frame it, and let's name this bottom. So it's the bottom part of the card. Let's just say bottom. It will be auto. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Let's call it top content. So the bottom and top content. This is alone. It's an image. So now let's give this 8 pixels. Actually works fine. And I'm going to keep it there. So now let's frame this and name it content. By the way, you can name this whatever you want. It's just to be consistent and to make our layers more organized. I'm gonna make it 24 pixel gap, which I think is good enough. Or maybe you can increase it even. Maybe you can say 20, sorry, 2. And I like that. Okay. So now we're gonna group this and all together we're gonna name this testimony. Test. Then 16 pixel works fine. We want to give it a padding of 16 by 16, around a border radius of 8 pixels. Then we want to give it a stroke with the color gray 800, which we've been using throughout the design. Finally, let's give it a color, background color of white, and let's change this. So again, you can just right click, plugins, Unsplash. Or if you haven't used Unsplash before, we can right click, plugins, manage plugins, search for Unsplash. As we've discussed before, Unsplash is a popular plugin for Figma that lets you browse through thousands of professional images. So let's just search for, again, in Unsplash, if you search for man or woman instead of saying person, it will give you better results. So we've overused this image, I think, so we can just select this one. Okay. We can duplicate this since we'll be using it a couple of times, but before we duplicate it, we can select the image, and instead of like having this image, we're going to be keeping with the design aesthetics. Okay, this should be consistent everywhere. We are making the saturation 0, so you can see a black and white monochromatic design. So you might want colors in your design. In that case, you can just put it back. But today we are working in this design where we have decided on a monochromatic scheme. So we're going to be following that. Okay, great. We can remove this color. Then finally, let's just duplicate this a couple of times. And let's change the image. So what image? I think this image looks good. We're going to fix the image. Maybe that wouldn't work well. Okay, let's keep it and we're going to fix it later. I'll select this. Go select this. Maybe this looks more professional, maybe. Okay, then let's fix the image. So in Figma, you can, okay, let's make this bit smaller and it should work nicely. But in Figma, you could just select what you want. Because the image, instead of fill, you can say crop, and you can adjust it. Like we want the head to be visible, so we can just drag it down a bit, and this is our image. Okay, this looks great. Actually, let's make this fill the content. Okay, again here, the width should be filling the content, and let's resize it. Okay, let's do the same thing here. The width should be filling the content, the container, sorry. And let's come here to the image and crop. Okay, maybe this image is a bit too big. Okay, we will have to change this image. Okay, we will have to change this image. Okay. So working with images is a difficult thing, and you have to know what tools you have and how to use them in order to be able to produce good design with the images or with the assets you have. So research, I'm gonna copy this, okay, the same, but let's change the image. Okay, for now let's leave this here, then let's go here and replace it. And let's again go to the image, crop, drag it down. Great. Let's put this here. I think this image might be a bit too big, but let's try. Yeah, it might be a bit too big. We can put it like this and give this a second layer of fill. We can drag it below and we can just give it this color. Or we can make it white. Okay, I think it's better if we change the image itself. So in real projects, you might consider, what you might consider is you might edit your images, or when you take the images, you might be considering like the layout in which they'll be presented. But today we're going to be focusing on stock images, so let's just this time, sorry for a woman, we'll use this image a couple of times, so maybe find a new one. Not sure. Okay, this looks maybe professional. Okay, that looks good. And we need one for this. Okay, we can use this. Actually, let's just make sure we select this. Let's edit this first. Again, crop, drag it down. Okay. We can reuse an image actually. So let's reuse this. We used it once, we can reuse it again. So the dimensions will be 314 by 144. 14 by 144. We'll shift R. Okay, this is too big too. Okay, this is hard finding images. It's one of the hardest things. Let's just search man. Maybe you can use this. Okay, that looks good. Okay, that's great. That looks great. So now we have testimonials for each corresponding content. So we can just group them all, and 24, okay, maybe 16 by 16 will be the gap. Then let's align this. Shift A, align to the top. Is it better to align to the top or center? I think you can do it in the center. Okay, so just give it a 32 pixel gap and let's center align it to the viewport. Let's name this main and group this with the header and call it testimonials testimonials, and categories. Again, we're going to be keeping with 52 pixels for the spacing between the heading and the content, so 52 pixels. And between the sections, we will be keeping in 96 pixels. Okay, so this is looking great now. We have finished. We're almost finished. We just need a call to action and a footer section, and our website is almost finished. Okay, so let's just check out the full completed website so far. I especially like this grid system here. Okay, great. So let's drag this down. Thanks everybody for watching. Obviously today we focused more on the design and did not focus much on theories and principles, since we've been doing that non-stop for the previous parts. You can check out the full playlist. It's really educational. Also, I have left the link down below in the description where you can get this design file for free. Maybe you want to edit it, you want to get the icons, the images, maybe you want to study it. So it's totally free. Just go down the description and grab a copy of it. Thanks everybody for watching again. I hope you enjoyed this part. Until next time, goodbye.